What's up, and welcome to another episode of Los Wise Guys podcast. I am one of your hosts, Eslam, aka the Daddy, accompanied by Dan, the baby boy, and Disco, the metaphysical. Yeah, that's right. We got some new nicknames, people.
Go check out Trinity. Yep. Horror month. Yeah, Horror month. That makes sense.
The unholy Trinity, 100%. Welcome to Horror Month, everybody. And let's just jump in. What are we doing today, Dan?
Me?
Yeah. You're the horror king.
There it is. We are going to talk about our favorite horror movies, horror comics, horror shows, horror whatever, and horror experiences. Stuff that we ourselves, or people we know, have experienced in the past. And we're just going to break down why we love horror, why everybody loves horror, why you should love horror if you don't.
So, let's jump into the main topic. Should we start with your mom, Dan?
Yeah, so we could do that.
That sounded like a terrible joke.
It really did.
Sorry.
It really did. Like so we're going to talk about horror experiences first off, right? At least on my end. Now, my mother has told me many stories over the years of different horror experiences. And as you guys know, Eslam, you just referred to me as the horror king. Now, I've always loved scary things. I always will. And I get that from my mother. So I know that she is such a big fan of horror that she decided that she wanted to make sure she gets you guys to see what she looks like during Horror Month. So my mom's here.
Nice. That's awesome. Hello.
And she's going to tell me about some of the experiences she's had in the past. So it's a little difficult with the headset and everything. She's going to relay some stuff to me. You're probably going to hear her in the background. I'm just going to tell you guys. So whenever you're ready, do you want me to tell me you want to talk about the story about the basement with Judy? My mom, right? Home health aide. She takes care of people who are sick. You can hear my dog barking in the background. And she used to take care of this one lady. Her name was Judy. She's passed away, God rest her soul. And in doing so, we actually stayed in her house. We became so close to Judy, we basically lived in the house with her. Now, there was one day where I was a young boy, maybe 4 years old, and I would... Yep. And I was playing in the basement, and my mom was upstairs.
Fucking weirdo. Who goes to play in the basement?
It was a very nice looking basement. It wasn't one of those basements. It's not a scary
it wasn't
basement.
like my basement.
Yeah, no, not that basement.
That shit's
my
like
basement looked like it took souls.
Yeah, and Dan's down there playing like
just to confirm, do you want to be on the camera or not?
Garden.
I could do that. I'm not that fat. It's okay. So, so I was in the basement, and you were gonna come this way if you want to be. She's saying hi again.
Hello.
Hey.
That was not me. That's the other.
No. Oh, so the person before that was on camera wasn't her. This is her. I don't know who that other person was, apparently.
It was the girl from The Ring.
It was the girl from The Ring. Okay. So we were I was in the basement playing with my toys. I guess you were upstairs cooking or something, right? And the woman she used to take care of, Judy, she was doing, I think, office work in her office. So I'm in the basement, and then suddenly I hear a toy start saying...
Daniel?
A toy starts saying my name. I'm like, that's weird. So I don't think nothing of it. I keep playing, and then it starts to get a little bit more aggressive, and it started to sound like...
Daniel.
It's starting to get angry.
Did they hear me?
Yeah, you could hear her okay, right?
Yeah, we can hear.
Yeah, they can hear you fine.
Oh. Yeah. Okay. You have to say that toy was under the step for years. Because you was not ready for that toy.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it was under the step in the house. And I take it from the step for you to play. And I leave it there. And then you come. I was in the kitchen and you come and say, Ma, that toy is calling my name.
Yeah.
So I went down. I say, how? Impossible. So I went back to cook. And then he come up the stairs and say, Ma, that toy keep calling my name.
Yeah.
I say, how that toy gonna call your name? That's don't have batteries, no plug.
Now, I just want to say, at this point, not only was it saying my name, I also remember it saying, Daniel, play with me.
Mm-hmm.
It started saying that even. So my mom, she comes down, and we continue to go.
So anyway, I left him, and I hiding in the step. I say, let me hiding to see if it's true. So I hiding in the, like 5 steps up, hiding, when I hear, Daniel! Very mad, then I was down and scared. I said, what's going on? So I thought was somebody playing a joke because that's office. And there was a lot of computers, people doing say. So I start to talk. I say, whoever play the jokes, you don't scare me. You better stop, And I say, Danny, come upstairs,
Yeah.
And Danny say, no, I want to keep playing.
Because I was a dumb kid.
By that time, I was scared. You was like what?
Such
I was
a
like
weirdo.
4. I was like 4 years old.
Five,
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay, 5.
So anyway, I said, let me see the toy. I checked. It was that little computer for kids, that you pay. What you remember?
If I remember, do you guys remember the it was kind of like a fake laptop that you would go and you could like press buttons. It was like one of those. She opens it and checks it out. There's no batteries inside. There's no power on it.
No.
And it's saying my name and it's telling me to like play.
Aliens.
Is it programmed to like say that at all?
No, it was like she said, it was never turned on. It was the first time it's ever been
that
used.
was for years.
Yeah.
Under the step. So by that time, I run with Danny upstairs. But, I'm curious. So I went back. I take that thing again. I bring it outside. And I call Judy, the lady that lives in the
Lady
house.
I told you guys about, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I told them about Judy. Go ahead. Continue.
So I say, Judy, you play a joke on us, because Danny's scared. And I explain what's going on. And she say, no, call what? The people from...
A priest?
You want me
I don't...
to no, a priest. People that investigate paranormal things
okay.
like that. Say, you crazy? I don't gonna call nobody. I just gonna pray. I take the hammer
Smart.
and I start to smash that thing.
Something they never do in scary movies. It's like, oh, this is
That is
something
true.
wrong. Let me just destroy it.
I start to
Yeah.
break that thing, and
Yeah.
that was Judy come home. She left the office because she had another, and she was in the house.
Mhm.
And she get mad with me. She say, well, why you destroy that? I said, what we gonna do?
Well, I remember Judy hearing it. Oh, no, Judy heard the whistle. That's a different story.
Oh, no. In that house, do you know the house I discovered that the man killed herself in the basement?
Killed who?
Yeah, we don't that's her house, and she don't found that the first
makes-
owner, he hanging in the basement.
Really?
Oh, he killed
Yes,
himself
I
in the
discovered
basement.
that.
Okay.
Oh wow.
Damn.
It makes-
All right.
I didn't know
As
that.
you know, I drive the medical transportation.
All right.
Yeah.
I had to bring that man from, it was Plainfield, I don't know where
Yeah.
he was, to the house, and then he lived in the other side.
This is in
So,
Cranford, by the way.
when I let him in there, I said, I used to live here in this house, in this street for years. So he said, yeah, where? I said, 214. So anyway, so he said, we built the house. I said, yeah. And the owner, the house we built with my father.
This is the person who lived on the nearby. You're saying that they
Yeah.
knew the person. They built the house, and the person
They
who lived
built,
there
and
killed
And
himself.
he said, the owner, the first owner,
Yeah.
he killed himself.
He hung himself in the
He
basement.
hanging in the basement.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's
Said, no,
that's the
you
first
ordered
time.
The house because you remember the cat. Judy said that she hear things in the basement. The cat patches.
Yeah.
She always run up the stairs, scary and all.
Yeah. There was like weird things in this house, guys. It was
Yeah.
like of course I grew up there, and yeah, no, it was just
See
a lot
why
of
you
weird
like
stuff.
horror so much.
Yeah.
Most
Yeah,
kids
that-
would have went the opposite way.
It's funny. They're saying they could see why I like horror. Most kids wouldn't, but I'm weird. But
After
year,
that experience.
things
Yeah.
that happened for years.
yeah, no, that's the thing. So it's just we experienced a lot of stuff there. What's it called? Before we go, I do want you to tell one more story. I do want you to say the one with the doctor that you had to go see in Patillas in Puerto Rico.
Oh,
Yes, that's the story you told me before.
This is one of my favorite stories.
Yeah,
So-
I remember
no,
this. This
no,
is
when
an
I was
awesome
little,
story.
I loved to climb in trees, like a monkey.
She grew up like in the country.
in the country.
Yeah.
So I fell from the street and I break my ankle or
You're like twisted it or something.
Twisted.
Yeah.
it was swollen. So my mother in the country, they believe in people that they cure. I don't know how they
Like witch doctors.
Mm.
So it's a lady that lives in the mountains. So my mother sent me with my sister, my little sister over there to the lady to fix my ankle. Ankle, that's what you
Yeah,
say?
you got it.
When I get there, we had to walk like half hour.
With a twisted ankle.
Yeah. So that.
Dang.
So when we get there, and then the house is like in a hill. When the lady was outside, and my sister and me go close to the house, and the lady just go to one tree, break one of the branch, and she say, you, I was waiting for you. I know one day you're gonna come here.
So yeah, apparently she thought my mom was like some type of demonic creature.
I did look, I said, you know, I never see that lady.
Did she walk up
house,
to her with her hair like that, like she showed us it before?
They're asking, did you walk up to the lady with your hair all crazy? Because that might have been the reason.
This is just in
Okay.
It's for October only.
Okay.
So anyway, she tried to hit me, and I fell in the floor and she hit me with that branch, and my sister started
just laughing at her the whole time.
And the lady, get out from her, get out from her.
I thought she was possessed.
Like, you know, and I just screaming. My sister laughed. I forgot that my ankle held whatever
She fixed her ankle.
She fixed my ankle, so I run up the hill that I don't feel anything.
So yeah, that's the. Yeah, go ahead.
Can you ask? I don't know why I remember a specific story of your mom. You told me about your mom, where there was like, she saw something like behind a tree. It was like some tall figure or something like that.
Apparently, I told them once about a story about something where there was something behind a tree, like a tall figure. Do you remember anything about that? I don't.
The one the skeleton, the Rafi see.
Oh, the one that scratched you? Or you scratched it? Was it the skeleton story?
When I was little,
she's got like 50 stories.
Okay. Let's hear one more. This is fun.
Yeah, she's telling it right now. Go ahead.
Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's the one that is skeleton. I come from the school, and the school bus led me like 2 blocks from my house. I had to go up the hill, and in the middle is one house, the only house close to. We live like 3 blocks from the next neighbor.
Oh, so they're out in the country, so everybody's spaced apart. Yeah. They're all far apart.
In the street, there is the dog of the neighbor. Don't let me pass in the street. So I decide to pass through one fence and go to a bamboo. It's a river, like a bamboo.
Like a bamboo tree.
To the other side. When I get to the other side, I hear something in the back. I know something wrapped me like that in my shoulder and don't let me move. I just try to look. But when I look, I see like a tall skeleton.
Yeah, she could kind of just make out.
What I feel, I try, I go like that, try to scratch, I just feel a skeleton.
Like bones.
Bones. So anyway, I start to screaming, and I hear my aunt call it the husband, Ethel, that's the name, Ethel, come on, look for the gun. And they just, hear me, and they start to screaming, look for the gun, and they are called my brother. Yeah. My little brother was cutting with one machete, something around there. And he ran to the street, and he saw me. We was like half block, something like that. He saw me. He come and, slide the machete in the street.
Oh, he started scraping the machete on the street.
Oh, okay.
Because I was screaming. And he looked up to me, and he frozen. He just frozen.
Like he saw what was grabbing her, and then he panicked.
And I keep look him, to see what he do. He just stop looking, and don't move. The thing throw me in the floor. I hit my head, and I knock out. So they took me to the hospital. So when I come back, they told me what was.
Yeah, because you asked them what it was that was watching, and her brother, my uncle, saw it, and he said it was a skeleton.
He said it was a skeleton that hold you. It was
was it really big, or was it like a human size, like an adult?
How big
human?
was it? Was it like the size of an adult human, or was it like crazy big?
No, like a human.
Like a regular size human? Yeah.
Tall.
Okay.
So like a tall human.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's 3 years. After that, I had a lot of things that's happened to me. My family think I crazy. They took me to the mental hospital.
I mean, if you walk around on October with your hair like that, I understand. But yeah.
The doctor said you don't have anything. So.
No, because like I told you guys, she's had tons of experiences that she's told me in the past. Yeah.
Dang. Okay. That's that's skeleton story. That's interesting. That's why I asked. That's where I remember like the Slender Man.
You remember something like that? Yeah, I guess I did tell you about that before.
Yeah.
Like I said, she told me so many. I can't even remember all of them.
A lot of things, like in the house, Franklin Street. You remember we saw a shadow come from the floor and go up.
I don't remember that one. I remember you saw a bunch of things there. And where I grew up down in the port, that house.
Yeah.
It's not the houses, it's the person. Team follow the person.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, so I mean, well, in some cases, that usually can happen.
Yeah, do you guys have any...
Even...
No, I'm sorry, what were you saying, Eslam?
No, I'm just saying because she said, like, it's not the house. Sometimes the spirits follow the person.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, that's what she said.
Yeah, he's saying what you just said, that he's reiterating
in cases, like, for us, like, religiously, like, you have the jinn and stuff, and, like, those can haunt you and, like, follow you to different places. And, like, there's been stories from a lot of people that things like that happen to them, too.
Yeah.
Wherever they think it's the house, they leave, go somewhere else, and
it follows the person to other places.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just talking about through his religion. It's a similar thing that he's heard about. Do you guys have any questions for her before she goes?
No, I'm curious. Do you think like that skeleton thing could have been, I don't know, like an alien or something, or do you think it's just like what do you think it was? Was there like any type of lore within Puerto Rico that something like this has happened before?
So with the skeleton thing, has there ever been any type of like? Have you guys ever heard stories growing up about something like that happening in that area, or do you think it's potentially something that's not just a skeleton? Do you think it's something that could be out of this world, like an alien type thing, or anything like that? No.
I don't know what can be, but I know a man called Isabel. He died. He was told the next house, like half block from there, the son of my aunt Tiacela, he poisoned himself and he killed.
Jeez.
That was the first person that I seen a casket.
Oh, in a casket. That's the first dead body
My
she ever
mother
saw, I
took
guess, at a
me
wake.
when I was like 5 years old. And I remember they left me, and I see that thing in there sleep, and I see that he opened the eyes.
Jesus.
I remember that I was shaking terrifying. Because that thing opened the eye. And that was the first person I see there. And Isabel was tall.
And he lived near where you got grabbed.
And he lived there. So I always thought it was him.
Ah, okay.
That's what I believe with all the experience that I have. And my family know because I get like in trances. And they told me what I do. You remember the time that I took Rafi and threw him?
Yeah, supposedly she picked up my uncle with one hand and threw him across the room. The same one who panicked with the skeleton thing. So probably because of the skeleton thing. It was like, you didn't help me, so I'm going to throw you.
I started to talk different. I talk about
talking tongues.
People that I never met. My mother was little, and she said, "How you know that people?" But I don't remember. It's like a trance.
Yeah, it's like you just went into a trance, and this is stuff that they've told her.
They told me all when I wake up, all tired.
But I remember you said after you had me, that kind of mostly stopped, right? Like that stuff after I was born. So I fixed everything.
It transferred all of you, bro.
Well, now they're saying that everything transferred to me.
That's why he likes Halloween so much.
That's why I like Halloween.
He absorbed all the dark energy.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but it's a lot of story that you can prove with my family.
Oh, yeah. She's got a bunch of stories, man.
Were there any... So you say you have gone into trances before. So was there anybody else in your family similar to that? Why do you think you're susceptible to the spirits?
Has that... my mother's saying you guys just look completely different from the last time she saw you. Because it's been years. We all have beards now.
I lost all my hair.
Eslam lost all his hair, he said.
I have a lot of hair now.
Eslam says he lost all the hair and Danny got it.
Danny, that's my style. I always had a pony.
What's called?
You are excellent. You look good, no matter what.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
She has to say stuff like that. What's it called? They have a question. Has anything like that ever happened to anyone else in the family? Like those types of trances?
No.
It was just you?
Me.
Like even before you were born?
Like before you were...
hospital, and they said you don't have anything.
Oh, I'd like to check you out. Was there anybody ever before you, like before you were born, that had stuff like that?
My grandmother, my mother.
Yeah, see, that's what I was curious about. That's interesting, man, because I guess that
interesting.
The lineage.
yeah, like being susceptible to the otherworldly. I feel like if someone in the family before had that connection, it can be passed down.
Yeah, so he's just wondering if it's something like if it's happened in the family before. I guess if it's something that's been around in the family for a long time and it just gets passed to certain people, if that's a possibility. Yeah, it's possible. Because I never knew that your grandmother had that.
My grandmother, she just go crazy. She get a machete and whoever come close.
Jesus.
Go into the wood and she disappeared she worse than me.
Jesus.
She disappeared in the wood.
She would disappear in the woods for a while.
With a machete, yeah.
Oh man.
That's crazy.
That's
we had to look for her and bring food, and I don't know why they send me always. I think she passed it to me. I eat the food with one stick. Yeah, because she had that machete in the hand.
Jeez.
So we had a long stick, and I throw the food.
What's up?
Was there anyone else in the area that was also like susceptible like that? In like, I guess like, since it was like a farming or just like all the houses, like the village where all the houses were far apart. Was there anybody else that had experiences like that? Not in the family.
Was there anybody else that's not in the family that had stuff like that? But you just said something about Tito.
Tito, my brother, he sees things.
Oh, my Uncle Tito.
Yeah.
Apparently, my Uncle Tito has seen some stuff too. And there was nobody else that was not in the family that didn't like neighbors or anything that had similar experiences.
That I know.
No.
No. Okay.
But yeah, apparently my Uncle Tito's seen some stuff. And the thing is, I've talked to different uncles and aunts like when they come over to visit, and I've asked them about these same stories. And like I remember my Uncle Rafi, for example, he remembered that skeleton story.
Yeah, like to talk about that.
He hates talking about it.
Don't ask
He's like terrified about it. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not scared. I never scared. I remember when the mattress walked. I see one mattress get out from the bed and walk into the
that was one of the first ones that I think she experienced. Like, there was a mattress that kept on getting closer to her, and she's telling her, everyone's like, stop it, you're crazy. Like, what do you mean there's a mattress?
A mattress?
So she was apparently sitting in a room, right, with people, and then she saw from, like, a different room.
My bed, I can see the TV.
So she could see, like, across the hall to another room, and she would see, like, a mattress straight up just got up and was, like, inching towards her, and she kept saying, there's a mattress over there coming at me. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? Just, shut up, whatever. And then it just kept coming closer.
My father said, Petra, you think she went to the wrong, he made illegal moonshine?
Oh, moonshine. Okay, so apparently my grandfather's like, do you think she started drinking some moonshine? Because there's a mattress coming at her.
Unless that moonshine had psycho...
Yeah, because he used to drink, he used to make moonshine back then, my grandfather, when he was alive.
Yeah.
I mean, man, unless that moonshine had like psychedelic mushrooms, I don't think it'll make her see mattresses.
I remember. This is Tatito. Yeah. Oh man, you want to know something funny? So all these stories that she's telling you, when I was really little, and I would be in bed, and she would like tuck me in, I would legit. Can you tell me a story? And all the other kids, they would hear about like the Three Little Bears or something like that, and I would say, no, I want to hear a scary story. And then this is how I grew up, listening to these stories.
Yeah, but you also see me fishing under the bed. I get out.
This is a... Okay, hang on, I gotta explain. I just lost a slipper.
I also walk in sleep.
She's man.
She's a sleepwalker?
Big time, like... So, you guys remember my old dog, Spike? There was this one time where, apparently, she woke up, and Spike was in her hands in a sink, and she was trying to wash him with cleaning solutions in the sink. And Spike is just half asleep, terrified. We went over there, and he's just like, somebody save me, please. Because it's like 3 in the morning. My mom's got him like underneath the sink with cleaning, Mistaline. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Just cleaning products. Yeah. So she's sleepwalked. There's been times where you could hear her talking, and she'll say something along. She's thinking she's talking to one of her brothers, and she thinks they're going out crabbing, and she's trying to get crabs underneath the bed. There's that. she's constantly seen plenty of things like that in her sleep.
I was in bed, looking the mountain and the sky.
She stood up on the bed. She saw all these mountains and everything. So yeah, it's been an experience.
Dan, we're gonna need to do a part 2 of
just a whole episode dedicated to just her stories.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing.
That's what she said. Yeah. That's what we're saying. They say we have to have you back one day just so you can tell us all the stories.
Okay.
Yeah, that's 100%.
Yeah, you have to go.
Fun stories.
All right, so she's gonna head out. Do you guys have any last things you want to say or anything? Or
no, thank you for telling us your stories.
Okay.
Nope, thank you.
It's great to have you.
Bye.
All right,
Okay.
you're good. Thank you. Yeah, you're good. If you could just, I guess, just lock the door or whatever. Thanks.
Danny's like low-key a Latino Van Helsing.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I grew up listening to all this stuff. So yeah, no surprise, I'm a fan of horror.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's that, and there's a bunch of funny stories she told me too. But I always preferred the horror ones. But yeah, that's all my horror experience.
Definitely interesting horror stories.
Oh, dude, there's a bunch. Yeah.
I mean, horror story wise, I have the one that I experienced with you. I guess I'm gonna say it's your fault now since things.
I brought
follow
it.
You
I
now.
brought it now.
When we went to C2E2 in Chicago and the AEW show,
Yep.
we stayed in a haunted hotel.
Yeah.
And
1 second before we continue,
Yeah.
Eslam, because we were trying to find a hotel. I was just fixing my schedule at the time. I was like, all right, I found the flights. Eslam's taking care of the hotel. So he's like, hey, I found a great rate in a hotel. I was like, awesome. He sends it to me. Now, I'm working at the hospital. I was like, let me look this up. Look it up. I was like, yeah, it's a really cheap thing. And then I was like, wait a second, there's this other link. And I was like, one of the most haunted hotels in America. Interesting. so then I text Eslam, I'm like, hey, you realize this is one of the most haunted hotels in America? And his response was like, I guess that's why I got it cheap. Had no idea.
Yeah. I didn't look it up. I don't give a damn.
Yeah,
It
man.
was a good rate.
I don't know if it was like Al
Suspiciously
Capone or Al Capone or Jimmy Hoffa. One of those mobsters used to go in there all the time. There was like the 4th floor, like was known for people would commit suicide there a lot. It was like a whole crazy thing.
Damn.
Yeah, so I think it was like our second night or something. No, it was our first night. We got there. You were tired because you had a bunch of shifts the before we got there, some jet lag, and you fell asleep early. I was hungry, so I left, went to Taco Bell a couple of blocks away, came back, and I'm going to chalk this up to Taco Bell. I think that's just what it was.
Just me and Taco Bell.
I ate Taco Bell, and then I just went to sleep.
Hit too hard.
Yeah, and I went to sleep, but while I was falling asleep, I don't know why it was so hard to say that.
Yeah.
While I was falling asleep,
Wildwood?
He went to Wildwood in the middle of the night. Came all the way back to Jersey.
And while I was hitting like REM sleep or like falling into sleep, I suddenly I was sleeping on my side, and I felt like a pressure, like pushing down on like my shoulder, and like I thought I heard like whispering in my ears. And it wasn't Dan, so it wasn't Dan.
I was knocked out.
Dan was knocked out on the other bed. Like I can hear him snoring.
Yeah.
And so I felt, and it was just, it started speaking, and it was like I couldn't understand what it said. It was like speaking in tongues. No. And
hey, you should have gotten a soft taco instead of a hard taco.
If that's what it said, then it was definitely you. But. Yeah, that was my experience, and then honestly, I had that same experience one more time when I got back home. That same like pressure on my side and the whispering in the ear.
You think you just ate too much and you were having like some type of weird reaction? Because remember when we came back, like we had eaten a lot of food in Chicago while we were there.
No. This is when I came back home to New Jersey.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Like
you said, was it like right after you got back, or?
I don't know. No, it wasn't right after. Okay. It was like a little while before. It was a little while after. But I had that same experience, and then I haven't had it again. But yeah, that was like my scary experience or horror experience. But yeah, it was pretty cool.
I guess I have two to start with. I mentioned the first one. In my house in New Jersey, I've mentioned it before, the basement was like very scary. Take souls. It was very messy. We were hoarders. And there's a bunch of boxes and a creepy pool table and like this hole in the wall that like...
There's a pool
You had
table
a pool table down there?
There was a pool table.
Wow.
But
Never
there's
knew.
so many
bro.
boxes
Never
and
knew.
random stuff on it that you'd never have known.
Yo, this guy was like letting us pay pool halls all the
Yeah.
time. Going to pool halls
This
playing
man had a
pool.
pool table this whole time.
We could have cleaned his basement and rocked out with the ghosts down there and just played pool. Started making some money off of them, getting some souls, extra souls.
So, exactly. But there's definitely like a gateway down there. But I remember one time, especially, I went down with my little flashlight, and I always go fast because I hated going down there. But I remember something like breathing on the back of my neck, and it just freaked the shit out of me. Like, I just literally just turned around and just was like, nope. And I just ran up the stairs, and it was just like so creepy. And I always hated the basement, and it's just not a nice place to be. I wonder what it looks like now with the new owners. You know, I wonder if they like fixed it
Next
up
time
or
you're in
what.
Jersey, let's just go knock on the door. Like, hey, can we see your basement? They're like, we don't go down there. We bolted the door shut.
No. We cemented it.
Oh man.
And second story is kind of, since your mom's like a witch doctor and you're like a Van Helsing, you know.
Okay.
I'm gonna bring up an experience I had. I'm a dream walker. One time I had a dream. Granted, you know, I was partying with my cousins at that time, and we were drinking. And I remember having this crazy dream and talking to my dad. And honestly, I don't even remember what we said, but I remember waking up and like I had like tears, and like I felt like I really spoke to him, but like it sucked because after I couldn't remember the conversation. It was just like
That's rough.
this crazy feeling, and I was so happy.
I think
like,
you
torn.
could. You should probably try out ayahuasca one day. I think that could be another gateway for you.
That'd be cool. I don't know, but I've tried shrooms, which is I know it's not the exact same, but like,
Yeah.
that shit fucked my stomach up. So I don't know. I kind of got a sensitive stomach
Well,
when it comes to psychedelics.
So we had my girlfriend's cousin, my fiance's cousin, on a while back, and she had went to Peru and done ayahuasca with like a shaman and everything. So the shamans like walk you through it. And like with ayahuasca, like there's like a diet that you have to do beforehand. Like you have to stop a lot of things because the tea reacts to what's in your body. So you have to like clean your body out so you can get the best reaction, because sometimes you can get a really bad reaction if you don't do that. And sometimes people throw up, and it's just like you're expelling all like the toxins or whatever it is that they feel from their body. And a lot of people, this has helped them in many ways get over like traumatic events and stuff like that. And it could be a way that you can, talk to your dad again. So it would be interesting, experience.
Where do you go for that?
Peru.
So I think they have Peru's like one of the big ones, and like I can talk to Reem, who was on the podcast, and she can give you like her experience and stuff like that. But I've heard on podcasts there's shamans here that do it, but I think you'd have to do like research, because you don't want to go to like a bad shaman and have like a really shitty experience with really bad quality tea.
Disco Dead died of fentanyl.
Oh god, no. That's not a funny joke, bro.
I mean,
I'd
that
be
would be the
fucking
equivalent
devastated.
of getting laser eye surgery with a
Hood
coupon.
shaman.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Interesting. I like we talked about it, and I kind of want to try ayahuasca, but at the same time, I'm afraid of it So, but yeah.
Are you afraid of yourself? Are you afraid of what
He's afraid of losing control over his body and his stuff. Like, he doesn't want to lose the control.
I'm afraid
of himself.
He's gonna pee himself. He's gonna be like, yeah.
I'm afraid that I would lose control and something would break and I wouldn't be the same again.
The gout. That's how you get a cure.
My gout's gonna be too strong. It's just gonna absorb the ayahuasca.
Next thing you know, the gout is gonna have Eslam.
Eslam versus the gout. Whoever wins at the end of the trip.
Yeah,
gets to
that's
keep
why I'm
his
also
body.
like I'm afraid of like doing something like hallucinogenics or like acid or like mushrooms or DMT. Even though DMT is a very short like high, yeah. I'm still afraid of something like that, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe I'll get over that and try it out one day or not. But it's not something I really.
I want to try DMT one day.
Yeah.
If I do it, we'd all have to do it together for the podcast. That'd be insane.
Yeah,
I'm legit just gonna pass on everything, but you guys got it. That's fine.
Yeah,
I'll be the voice of reason. Like, yeah. So while these guys are literally walking on the ceiling, I'm gonna just try to continue with the podcast.
He's like recording us walking on the ceiling. It's like normal to him. It's like, yeah, I seen my mom do this like twice when she was sleepwalking.
There you go.
Like, what the? Oh man.
I saw this video on YouTube where this guy's talking about his DMT experiences, and he's like, he has this like interdimensional purple like girlfriend that he meets every time he like trips.
Yeah.
He said he met her like 8 times, and it's like always the craziest thing when he meets them.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Oh,
Dan,
man.
do you have any stories you want to share?
I believe it or not, I don't have that many. I kind of just told you what I have with with my mom with the toy in the basement, and one thing I could tell you, this apartment, my mom said that she saw something here already once. So one of the first days I was here, I remember right now we're in my room. And I have a bathroom that leads from my room into the bathroom, and there's also a room out in the hall that leads into the same bathroom. So there's 2 doors getting in and out. So because of that, and I'm by myself, I was like, all right, I always make sure I lock the door to the bathroom so nobody can get in here if somebody were to break in, and same thing with my bedroom. So one night, I was getting ready to go to bed, and I get up, I go to the bathroom, I pee, I come back, I lock my door, and before I lock my door, I stub my toe. And I remember I was struggling to lock the door, and I finally got it. I closed the door. It was good to go. I go back in bed. I turn around, and the door's wide open. And I specifically remember locking the door because I was like, I remember the stubbing of the toe and everything. So I was just like, I locked this. So I was like, okay, I've dealt with stuff like this. So I got up. I went over. I locked the door. I went back in bed. I turned around. I stared at it. It stayed locked, and I went to sleep. So I didn't really think of it much. That might have freaked other people out. I was like, it's fine. I've heard stories.
Yeah. You're like, come at me, bitch.
That's the funny thing. So whenever my mom would have one of these experiences or something like that, I remember once she was in the attic at the house by the port, and she was in the attic doing something, and she got mad that I had thrown like a pair of like a ball of socks like at the back of her head. And she came down and she's like, what are you doing? I'm over there. I'm trying to clean stuff. And I was like, yeah, I haven't been up there. She's like, okay. So then she tells me that. And the way I am, like Eslam, you just said, I'm like, yeah, come at me. I legitimately am like that with these types of experience. I legit ran up the attic and I was like, let's go. Throw something at me. I want to see it. I want to see what this is. So I provoke things. That's my thing. I provoke stuff and I don't see anything. As opposed to other people where they're just like, oh, I don't want to see it. I was like, if you tell me a place that's haunted, I'll go in there and I'll just start making fun of the ghost. I want to see it. Like,
see Danny just
He's gonna
walk
start
in.
roasting it. Look at that shoes.
Got meatloafs on your feet. Don't even have feet.
Casper looking like mother.
for real, like that's exactly what I would do. So yeah, I would just provoke everything. But I mean, we're talking about experiences. Do you guys want to talk about any other horror media we enjoy, like any movies or?
I have one more experience I want to bring
Yeah, what you
up,
got?
and it's like a mischievous ghost. I can't explain. Some people
just
sound
Eric.
crazy. Some people sound crazy. Exactly. It could be. Who knows? I definitely don't think so though.
Yeah.
Eric's been playing a 32-year prank on you.
I came home one day from work and no one was home, and they were out. They were like shopping, doing whatever, and I had left food in the outside garage refrigerator in a specific spot on the bottom shelf. I was like, exactly. I remember specifically leaving it there. And then so when I came home from work, I go and I check, and it's not there. I look up and down, it's not there. I look in the other refrigerator. I look in the freezer. I look back in the refrigerator, and it's not there. And the next thing you know, I call them. I'm like, yo, did somebody eat my food? I'm like tired. I had a long day at work. I'm blowing up. I'm like, yo, please tell me nobody ate my food because I'm starving. Like, you know, I'll be super upset. And then they come home, and what do you know? It's right where I said it was, in that specific spot. And I'm like, no fucking way. No.
Nah, wait, they came home, and after you came home, the food was found?
It was it was in the garage. So it was like we opened the garage and
but this is like they found the food when they got home, right?
Yeah. But I was right there.
Eric is fucking with me.
I was right there. I was right there.
Putting my money on Eric.
I'll put this on Eric.
Yeah,
I was right there to greet them, like, hey, where's my food? Because the refrigerator's like right there at the garage, right where you get
when
out.
he found the food, was Eric just holding it in a sexy pose, trying to read a book?
That'd be insane. I wish, but nah. I don't even think Eric was there at the time, to be honest. I don't think he moved in yet.
Bullshit. He was ninja hiding somewhere.
He was in the house the whole time. He didn't even know it.
Yeah.
He's the fattest fucking ninja I've ever seen.
Well, in all reality, is Eric
Bro,
not
hiding
like
in his
the
shadow.
quickest, like quietest person we know?
Yeah, that's true.
He's
Never heard the
extremely light
footsteps.
on his feet.
Not anymore. He used to be. Eric's changed since y'all have last seen him.
Oh man.
Oh.
Other horror media, movies wise, I'm not. You guys know I'm not the biggest fan of horror movies and stuff. But the latest horror media I have experienced were The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2. Both very amazing video games, amazing horror video games, and the only reason why I even played them or liked them that much because the story was so well done. Other video games I never really was into, like Resident Evil. I was never into like Left 4 Dead, like all these zombies or other type of horror games. Never really did it for me, but like The Last of Us story was just so well done,
Yeah,
and
it's
even
so
though it was
well
horror
told.
and it was zombie, and like while I was playing it, in certain points, like I was like fucking getting like anxious, and like the music would play, and like, you know, you start hearing sounds and shit. I'm down in my basement, it's dark, you know, so it did get me like in that mood. It did very well in that, but otherwise like horror media doesn't really I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
You know, I'm pretty embarrassed how I got into like horror movies and like
Okay.
that genre. What got me in was Chucky and Jeepers Creepers. Like,
Oh, so you got into it late with
the
Jeepers
cheese-
Creepers, though.
the cheesiest movies, and Hellraiser, and like you know, a couple of those oldies. But
Yeah.
I remember Chucky. Like, I don't know why I couldn't shake it when I was younger. I would always wake up and like with the lights off, I would always imagine him at the end of the edge of my bed, just like, hello, you know, like just fucking just there. I could never stop that. It always would just nag at me. I open my eyes.
I just
and
never
I just know he's
understood
gonna be there.
why no one just punted the shit out of Chucky.
They did. That doesn't stop them.
Okay.
Man, watch a movie, you know? Watch a movie before you have
Whatever,
suggestions.
man.
In the third one, they blew him up and he came back. It's not that easy.
Whatever.
He even got a second season on his TV show. He's unstoppable. But and then Jeepers Creepers. I remember once I was at a sleepover with my cousins and we were watching that shit, and I was just. Everybody was like, that was cheesy, and I was low-key terrified in the back, like, yeah, terrified. It's like, every 27 years he comes out and starts killing people. I don't know.
Oh, he's a cicada?
And he
Yeah,
can fly.
legit. No, they're like, yeah, because he's sort of based off cicadas and stuff like that. Like, that's part of the
Oh,
lore.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, man. And then Hellraiser, as you know, actually a new movie came out, Hellraiser. It wasn't too bad. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But yeah, those are like, that's how I got in, and you know, embarrassed.
Oh,
but,
it's
you
funny. Speaking of horror, I was watching this like reel on Instagram where someone was explaining how Courage the Cowardly Dog was based on a true story.
Really?
The house is based off in like Mexico or something, like out in the desert or whatever. This house, and these two old people had like, I think like told the authority or something there was crazy shit happening, and when the authority came to investigate, like the two old people were disappeared, and all there was a dead dog. So and the house looked very similar to the house in the cartoon show, which
in
I
the
thought
middle
was
of
very
nowhere.
yeah. So
That's cool.
Interesting.
I was gonna say, so I love horror. I grew up watching scary stuff from like as a baby. I remember watching Chucky. I saw The Exorcist for the first time when I was 7. I was bored out of my mind throughout. I was like, "There's nothing scary about this." I grew up knowing about Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger, like all those guys. They're like bedtime stories to me, to a sense. Like I just grew up with all that stuff. So it's very rare. Yeah, go ahead.
You sound like you were born knowing Santa didn't exist.
I ever tell you the story about how I found that out?
No.
So, completely unrelated. So I was at I was in the car. Me and my dad were going to my aunt's for Christmas. We're gonna have a party. I forgot how old I was. I remember I was pretty young. I had already not really cared about Christmas much. And we're at a red light. My father turns to me and he says, "You know, Santa Claus is not real, right?" I was like, "Okay." And then we went to the party.
Okay.
He just dropped it on you, just like, damn.
It's at a red light. Yeah, it was like I didn't really care. I was like, all right, no. So in terms of horror, I've always loved horror. I like all the movies. One thing I do want to mention real quick, I want to touch on some creepy pastas. That's for you specifically, Henry. Real quick, one of my favorites was always La Mala Hora.
Yes, you've told me about this before.
Yeah, I probably said it on the podcast, but it's been long enough.
The bad hour.
Yep, you got it. You speak Spanish.
Okay.
So the way the story goes is in either Mexico or New Mexico. I always forget. I'll just tell you the way that the common legend goes. So this lady, she's driving to meet her husband. She hasn't seen him for like maybe a couple months. So she has to go on this highway, and this highway is known to have like this weird, mysterious stuff. They say the La Mala Hora is on that highway. So as she's going, she starts seeing like this figure like off on the road, like you see in every scary movie. Someone's like a woman or something on the side. She passes by, doesn't think nothing of it. As she's going, she starts seeing that the woman is like running like behind her, and it starts getting bigger, and it starts getting like these crazy like claw things, and it's trying to get her. Think of like Terminator 2. So it's kind of like that coming at her, but it keeps growing and getting bigger. And it gets to the point that's like, I believe it might have even hit the car or something. She finally turns off on an exit. She gets away. She gets to the house and sees that the husband isn't there. She goes and runs to like the neighbors and tells her what's going on. They're like, "Yeah, it looks like you ran into La Mala Hora. That means that something bad has happened to someone that you care about." She was terrified. She stayed there the next day. She stayed there. The next day, she goes back to her regular house, and she's notified by the police that her husband was killed at the same time she was on the highway. And she did that.
Oh.
So that's the legend of La Mala Hora, the most common story there.
Be fucked up if she's the one that killed him, too.
Yeah, right, twist. She was chasing herself. But, yeah, man, so I've always been a fan of the different creepypastas. There's always the killers inside the house, you know, the phone call one, which, like, Scream is, like, basically based off of. And you mentioned Slenderman early on in the episode, Eslam, and Slenderman's like more recent. It was created, I think, for a creepypasta contest, and it became so popular that it's taken on a life of its own. But yeah, man, horror's been a part of my life. It always will be. So I love October. I love everything horror related. So yeah, man, horror's always there in terms of comics, movies, stories, video games, everything. I've always loved horror.
Oh, man. Well, why don't you guys let us know below what are your horror experiences, your favorite horror media, and we'll have a conversation there. But let's move on to some news. We'll jump into Dan's wrestling news, and then we'll go from there.
Oh.
All right. Let me share.
Got us some wrestling news. While you're getting that set up, I just want to say there's a lot that's happened in the world of professional wrestling this past week. Like a lot.
Yes,
Like WWE was going hard, AEW was going hard. Just a lot in the world. So Eslam's pulling up some stuff. First thing I need to mention right here, Renee Paquette, and I might be saying her last name wrong, or maybe Paquette, I don't know, has officially joined AEW. She ain't a wrestler, but this is a big deal. So she worked for WWE for quite some time under the name Renee Young. This is her real name, Renee Paquette. Because in WWE, for some reason, Vince was like, you can't use your real name, you have to be something else. So she was a backstage...
for anonymity, for some,
I guess. I don't know. So I always felt with Vince, it was kind of just like, hey, if you become famous somewhere else, you can't take the name that we made with you, so you have to try to work your way up from scratch. I feel like that's always what it was.
Yeah, I guess that. Plus, if they use their real name, I don't know. Yeah, you could.
Yeah, because if they use their real name, then like legally he doesn't own the rights to it, which was like another big thing for WWE. But anyway, so she was like a backstage interviewer at first. They put her on commentary, and she was actually not bad on commentary. She was pretty good. I remember people hated her at first because she was still new to it. She had to learn. And she apparently herself hated doing commentary, so they transitioned her back to just being a backstage interviewer, which she did better than almost anyone I've ever seen. Like, she's just really good. While in WWE, she fell in love with a man called Dean Ambrose, who later on went to AEW, became Jon Moxley, and they got married and have a kid. So now she's in AEW with her husband, Jon Moxley. So it's cool to see them there. She just had her first night this past Wednesday. She was interviewing Christian and Luchasaurus and about Jungle Boy, I believe it was. I could be wrong about that.
Luchasaurus.
But yeah, no, I just want to say it's great to see Renee back in the world of wrestling. She's known for doing a podcast called Oral Sessions that has been very popular for like the past couple of years. But Renee Paquette in AEW, love to see it. Can I get the next slide, Eslam?
Nice.
Staying in the AEW realm of news, the main event for this past Wednesday's AEW Dynamite was Pac, or however you want to pronounce it. I like saying Pac, going up against Orange Cassidy for the AEW All-Atlantic Championship. Eslam, when we got to see Orange Cassidy fight, he was fighting Pac years ago in Chicago. And these guys have had an on and off rivalry since the beginning of AEW. And it's always great to see these two wrestle. So this time, Pac holds the title. Cassidy goes for him. As you can see, Orange Cassidy won the title. And this is Orange Cassidy's first title ever in AEW after all this time.
Congratulations.
Very
well deserved.
Very excited to see Orange Cassidy. We've talked about it on the podcast. For anybody who doesn't know, Orange Cassidy is the most doesn't want to do anything wrestler. Like, the man won't even give you a full thumbs up. He gives you one of these. When people try to touch his hand while he's coming out to the ring, he doesn't give them high fives. He kind of just does that. He hits it. He wrestles half the match with his hands in his pockets, and everybody loves him for it because it's highly entertaining. He and Pac tore the house down, as they always do. They had a phenomenal match. Orange Cassidy hit one of the sickest DDTs I've ever seen, and Pac sold it so well. It was like a spinning tornado DDT. And as he went to drop him, Pac like flipped, and then he kind of just like his head was like on the ground while his feet were also on the ground. And then they went into the ring, and he did it to him again in the ring. And then he hit him with the orange punch. I love the name at the very end, and he won the match. So Orange Cassidy, your new AEW Atlantic champion. So you can move on to the next one. But happy to see, happy to see Orange Cassidy hold the title in AEW. All right, next up. Raw killed it this week. I'm not going to lie. Eslam and I were recording some reacts videos for YouTube, and I had Monday Night Raw in the background, and every couple seconds I'm turning around, I'm like, oh my god, there's a million things happening. One of which, Brock Lesnar came back and went after Bobby Lashley. We never got a proper feud between Lesnar and Lashley. We're finally getting it looks like, so I can't wait to see. Lashley, I could be wrong. I think he was the U.S. champion again at this point, and he just recently lost the title to Seth Rollins. This was right after Lesnar had attacked him. So Lashley was weak, and Rollins takes the title later on. Not only did Lesnar come back, we also had the Good Brothers, Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson, who were former TNA wrestler, I'm sorry, Impact wrestlers, and were often seen in New Japan for the past couple of weeks. Like, they were in New Japan during the G1 and stuff. And everyone's like, okay, their contracts are up. They need to go somewhere. Their best friends, the Elite, basically run AEW, right? They're going to go over there. Nope. They went back to WWE, the place that treated them like crap. But the person who treated them like crap ain't there no more. Triple H runs the show, so they're probably like, you know what? We want to work with the game. We're going back to WWE. So they're back. Brock Lesnar's back. And at the very end of the show, there was a D-Generation X reunion, where you had Triple H,
Nice.
Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, and Road Dogg. They didn't have Billy Gunn because he works for AEW, and he's more successful than all four of those other guys right now. In terms of AEW, he's more over than the rest of them. But they had honestly, it was literally just like, hey, we're a bunch of old guys, we're doing this now. Look at us. And it was what it was. And Shawn Michaels had one of the funniest quotes I remember of the night, where he said because it's a 25-year anniversary of D-Generation X. He said, after 25 years, we're still here, we're still acting like kids, and if we're still coming out here in another 25 years, please put us out of our misery. And then they went away, and that was the end of the show. But overall, like I said, it was a very good episode of Monday Night Raw. There was a lot going on. And, yeah, we can move on to the next one. So, before Monday Night Raw, on Saturday, there was a pay-per-view, Extreme Rules. And as I talked about in the podcast, I believe it was 2 weeks ago, there was all these white rabbit symbols and stuff like that that's been all over the place. They would play the White Rabbit song during commercial breaks. There was legitimate people in giant white rabbit suits walking around the arenas and hiding backstage in certain places, and they kept on just like teasing, like, what is the White Rabbit? What does this mean? Who does it mean? Well, this past Saturday, it was finally revealed, and it was amazing. They saved it for the very end of the show. It was right after the main event. We had Seth Rollins versus Matt Riddle with Daniel Cormier as the referee in the I forget what it's called. It's like a sort of like a cage match. It's like a pit fight or something like that. It's fairly new. And that happened. Matt Riddle has his hands up, and immediately the lights turn off. And Eslam, you can go ahead and show the video. All those different weird like figurines that you saw were representations of different versions of him throughout his career in WWE, and he's turned them into like these weird stuffed animal creatures, and now they're life-size creatures, and now he's back. We don't know what the White Rabbit is referenced to or anything like that, other than the song where they keep on repeating the words "change your head," I believe it is. And yeah, so Wyatt came back. We haven't seen anything since. Like, he did that on Saturday. He was not there on Raw, and we don't know where he is or what he's doing. But Bray Wyatt is back now under the Triple H regime, which is great because we knew that he and Vince McMahon used to butt heads a lot. And once he got released by Vince, it was almost like he wanted it because he didn't want to deal with Vince anymore, who kept on ruining his character. And as you can see, this guy's very well versed in how to handle his character. So it looks like Triple H is going to give him free reign with that, hopefully. And we'll see how that goes. But Bray Wyatt is back, and we're all happy for it.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Definitely, you can see how when given the control of your vision of your own character, how well it can be done, and not just somewhat through someone else's eyes or what someone else thinks. So shout out to Triple H for letting him carry out his vision for his own character. And they did a great job. It looked awesome. So
it looked great. I mean, he's been
looking forward to some more news, man.
Yeah, he's been referred to as the modern-day Undertaker for some time. Hopefully they finally let him be this. Like, he should be the modern-day Undertaker. Should have been for years now. So hopefully we get that.
I can definitely see that now that you say it.
Yeah.
All right, that's great. Disco, do you have any news to share with us today?
Not really.
All right, cool. So I'll jump into my news. Dan, you said you had
how much you got? How much you got? I'm curious.
I don't have a lot of news. So
I'll stay. That's fine.
Alrighty. All right. So my first piece of news: Colin Farrell's Penguin series starts a week after Batman ends. So, like, when the show starts, timeline-wise, it takes place a week after the Batman ends. So it'll be it'll be picking up right where Batman left off, and can't wait to see it. Colin Farrell was amazing as the Penguin, and the whole world that they built for the Batman was amazing. So I'm very excited to hear this news, and can't wait to see him.
Absolutely.
All right, next up, Starfield has over 4 times as much dialogue as Skyrim. So I'm hoping, I don't know what kind of dialogue Skyrim has, but I'm hoping this is more in the line of dialogue like, what's it called? God damn it.
Mass Effect?
Yes, thank you, Disco. Mass Effect. Now, I don't know if it's going to be exactly like choosing your own path and the dialogue options give you different endings or such, but hopefully the dialogue is good and we get to see more stuff like that. This is going to be another big space game.
It's going to be significantly more open than Mass Effect.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not so much like choosing like for example, these people, they made Skyrim, they made Fallout. So what's going to happen is they're going to just straight up just like, you could play the whole game and never do a main mission and you're fine. Like that's how open this game is. Like their games usually are. I'm sure Starfield's going to be the same thing where it's like there's dialogue in the sense of you're going to have like the main mission, and then you can probably have like three to six like not main but like very important side quests, and then there's going to be the mini side quests underneath that where there's probably going to be like hundreds of them. So it's like that's where all the dialogue is come in. That, and let alone you're going to walk into a bar and somebody's going to be like, "Get me a beer," and then you're just going to hear random conversation happening in the background. I'm sure that's all part of the dialogue that they're talking about, but. No,
I think I saw they're saying like there's hundreds of thousands of lines of dialogue.
I'm sure of it.
That's how I felt with like The Witcher. I felt like every town you could like just talk to everybody, and it's like, so many different little things you could do. It's like taking mad hours to complete.
I mean, on the other hand, it's just amazing to go through that depth and record all those lines and create all those like little stories. So
yeah, and the thing that sucks is you're gonna have so many people that recorded that stuff and it's never gonna be heard.
Yeah. So, all right. Next up, we have some news about Superman. Nothing too significant. I think we have a confirmation of him gonna be showing up maybe in a post-credit scene in Black Adam. But along with his upcoming appearance, the cameo appearance in Black Adam and The Flash, Dwayne Johnson's advocacy for Henry Cavill's return as Superman included another solo film for Cavill as per of the deal. So Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, has been, I guess, is a fan of Henry Cavill's Superman like we are. He's been advocating for him ever since he stepped into the role of Black Adam, which I truly appreciate. Henry Cavill was an amazing Superman, and I can't wait to see more of him. And hopefully with The Rock's star power, and I pray to God that Black Adam succeeds, because if it does, that will bring in more money to the company, and this could be more of a possibility for the return and the betterment of these movies. So wish all the success to The Rock and Black Adam. I'm definitely going to be paying for a ticket to see that movie, if not online. I mean, if not in person, I'll just pay for the ticket and then watch it online. But
we're at the point where it's The Rock wants Henry Cavill to be Superman again. That's kind of guaranteed. I feel like the movie is going to be like Black Adam's going to be successful, regardless of whether or not it's good, because The Rock is in it. So it's already gonna be breaking box office records. It's gonna be amazing simply because The Rock's in it. And Warner Brothers Discovery, or whatever they're called now, they're gonna look at this and they're gonna be like, "Oh, The Rock made us all this money. The Rock wants Henry Cavill. We'll get him Henry Cavill." So it's like, it almost just seems like it's a guaranteed, like, we're getting a sequel to Man of Steel.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
He's using his star power for good, so I appreciate it. You know what I mean? So I'm always down for that. So thank you, The Rock. Next up, Andor Season 2 and The Acolyte have begun pre-production, filming expected to commence in the coming weeks. Now, Andor's season 1 hasn't even finished yet, but I think we had mentioned before on our episode when we reviewed Andor that the show has been scheduled for 2 seasons of 12 episodes each. So so far I've been seeing nothing but great reviews for the rest of this season. I have not been caught up yet, but I'm gonna be getting there because we will be reviewing the finale of Andor, and I can't wait to see the Acolyte. We'll see what happens with that. But
Agreed.
that is it for my news. Let's jump into some final thoughts. Disco?
Horror month. Man, I just love a good horror movie. I love, playing Resident Evil. I love Last of Us. I love all types of horror movies, zombies, all types of werewolves. Actually, that Disney werewolf movie thing wasn't too bad. The werewolf.
Oh, it came out?
Yeah.
Werewolf by Midnight? Yeah.
Was that Man Thing?
Pretty good. Oh,
I feel like I broke you.
Yeah,
I
you're
was ready
right.
for that. I was like mad tired. My final thought is I love horror movies. I like to get my blood and adrenaline pumping. I like a nice creative villain or monster or plot. And I just love to, because I have an overactive imagination, so it's nice to have a nice movie to focus in on. And, if you could keep me up at night, that means you did a good job. And that's what I look for in horror media.
Yeah.
That's my final thought.
I want to kind of go off of what you said a little bit there, Disco. Yeah, man. So watching horror, not experiencing just horror my whole life. If I can find something that does keep me up at night or does scare me, that's a great thing because like that doesn't exist anymore. It's like I could count like on one hand the amount of like movies and stuff that scared me. So if there's something that comes out and does scare, I give it all the credit in the world. Like I said, I always give credit to the Blair Witch Project, which a lot of people hate on. When that first came out, that movie terrified me. And The Ring has one scene that made me jump, and I believe that was the last time I ever jumped watching a movie when The Ring came out in like 2002. So
you can usually nowadays realize when a jump scare.
You always could.
Yeah,
that's the thing that's always been.
I mean,
there.
I guess for me, because I don't watch too many horror movies, and
Yeah.
when I did watch a couple, I was like, okay, something is coming up right now, and it's just like.
And that's why The Ring got me. It's a scene that they didn't build up at all. It's like literally, it's just like regular casual conversation, jump scare, and then it's like, oh god, where did that come from? It's like they cut to a completely different scene. They had a high pitched sound in. There was a scary image. All of this happened instantly. So I was like, that got me.
Yeah.
And I never jumped again.
Dan shot himself.
But yeah, man. So if there's something that can scare me, I give it all the credit in the world. And I respect it so much. But there's nothing out there. So step up, horror.
Yeah, that's
step
right.
up.
For myself, I am not the biggest fan of horror, but I can appreciate it when it's done well and done good. So shout outs to The Last of Us and Last of Us Part 2. I guess it'll, as of right now, my favorite horror property of all time.
Well, you liked it.
I don't know. I did like it, but it didn't scare me.
Oh no, man, nothing's gonna. Well, I guess you said Last of Us got you a little jumpy.
Yeah. Last of Us, it didn't get. I think maybe there was one something that made me jump at some point, but the music, fighting the zombies, doing all this shit, like in some form, getting just in there got me a little anxious, and that was about it.
I remember hearing clickers and you're running around just like,
like where the fuck are they?
It's always
how
been
bad my eyesight is, so I could never see them.
that tension really had me on edge.
You know how in video games they're like, move your thing until you can barely see the symbol?
Yeah.
I make sure I can see it. Like
you
I
put it all the way bright,
so I can.
Jonathan Exel used to do that. He would be like, "I'm picking the brightest option every single time." He would say.
Yeah, because I mean, my eyesight's already bad. I can't be out here blinded by the darkness.
I'm legit doing it the way it's recommended. It's like I have it pretty dark sometimes, but no, I just want to say with video games it's different because it's always like it's interactive. It's not like a movie or a comic or something else that you're watching it happen to somebody else. Like, this is happening to quote unquote you in the video game. So that's there's always that extra element of it because it's interactive.
So the other thing that scared me was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Really?
The remake, and not the movie itself, but in the beginning and at the end of the movie, they had like live footage of the cops going through the house.
Yeah, I remember that.
And at the end of the movie, when they were going through the house, they show you the rest of that video, and the video cuts because he attacks them. He comes out of nowhere and just attacks the cops. And that's what scared me, because that's like real life. Like, you know what I mean? So that's the only thing that scared me about that movie. But otherwise, it was just like a scary movie. The dumb people tripping over their feet and, you know, hiding in the worst places.
I have a second final thought. So there's, like, you mentioned Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's something that's real that they made a movie out of. I'm putting this out to all the fans listening. There's another one of something similar that happened, like a horror movie thing. It's something that happened that they made a horror movie out of. That happened on my birthday. See if you can figure out what it was. That's for the fans.
Okay.
That's for the fans, not you guys.
All right. All right. I might not even know it, but
The Boston
thank you for
Massacre.
listening. If you like what you hear, follow us on social media. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share, rate, and review. Liking and subscribing to the channel is free for you, but it helps us out immensely. Share our content with your friends, please, and go check out our social medias. Thank you for listening, and have a great week.